The quiet after letting go, the quiet after collapsing identity. Hello, my name is Jewel. Most people expect change to feel dramatic. They expect a breakthrough, a revelation, a new identity, a clear next step. But often something very different happens. After a role collapses, after an identity weakens, after a familiar stabilizer releases, there is a quiet period. Many people do not know what to do with this stage. Some interpret it as emptiness. Some interpret it as stagnation. Some assume they have lost momentum. This video explores what is actually happening during the quiet that often follows letting go. The human operating system is designed to maintain continuity. When one stabilizer disappears, the system naturally looks for another, a new role, a new purpose, a new certainty, a new identity. Many people assume something should immediately replace what was released, but that assumption comes from continuity logic. The operating system expects replacement because it has historically relied on stabilizers to maintain familiarity. When an identity structure collapses, activity often decreases before something new emerges. The operating system is no longer spending in energy maintaining old roles, old explanations, old self-definitions, old continuity patterns. As those structures release, internal activity often becomes quieter, not because nothing is happening, because less maintenance is occurring. The absence of noise is frequently misinterpreted as the absence of progress. Many people have spent years operating inside constant internal activity, managing, explaining, predicting, checking, adjusting, maintaining. When that activity begins reducing, the quiet can feel strange. The operating system may interpret the absence of familiar activity as a problem. It may begin asking, shouldn't I be doing something? Shouldn't I know what is next? Shouldn't I be moving faster? But these questions often reflect the operating system's preference for familiar activity rather than a genuine problem. Let's examine this further with the real-life example I have been using in previous videos. Someone who has spent years carrying the identity of being the dependable family problem solver, the caregiver of the family. For years, they were coordinating, managing, fixing, anticipating, maintaining stability. Then the role load begins collapsing. The caregiving functions remain, the necessary responsibilities remain, but the constant management begins reducing. For the first time in years, maybe even decades, there is less internal pressure, less monitoring, less anticipation, less responsibility for outcomes that belong to other people. The operating system may initially interpret this quiet as absence of identity, direction, or continuity, but structurally, it is the absence of unnecessary load. One of the most common mistakes during this stage is assuming the quiet means something is missing or nothing is happening. The operating system often evaluates progress by activity, more thinking, more effort, more movement, more certainty. When those decrease, the system may conclude nothing is happening, But something is happening. A structure that previously required continuous maintenance is no longer consuming the same amount of energy. The quiet is often evidence of reduced internal management. As the noise decreases, something different becomes possible. Recognition becomes easier to detect. Perception becomes less distorted. Action becomes less reactive. Function becomes simpler. This stage is not about building a replacement identity. It is about allowing stability to emerge without immediately replacing what was collapsed. The operating system begins discovering that continuity can exist without constant maintenance. Many people rush through this stage. They quickly adopt new roles, new labels, new missions, new self-definitions. But the quiet serves an important function. It reveals what remains when familiar stabilizers are no longer being maintained. It allows recognition to stabilize before new structures form. Without this stage, old patterns are often recreated under different names, under different labels. To recap, the quiet after letting go, after collapsing an identity, is often misunderstood. It is not necessarily emptiness. It is not necessarily stagnation. And it is not necessarily a problem. Many times it is simply the absence of structures that previously required continuous maintenance. The operating system may interpret absence as unfamiliar, but unfamiliar does not mean incoherent. The next video explores what happens when nothing immediately replaces the old identity structure and why that experience is often interpreted incorrectly. Until next time.